Virginia Giuffre, late last year, early this year, she turned around and said, "Oh, I've been hit by a bus and I've got days to live," and that turned out to be a load of nonsense. And at the same time, she was making allegations. Keyword here is allegations about her husband of 24 years. And that's Virginia Giuffre's the case of one of the women that turned around and said that she slept with Prince Andrew when she was younger at Epstein's place. And this, the issue I'm raising this because it's been bugging me for ages, because I'm going, why is nobody in the Trump camp talking about Virginia Giuffre's hit to her credibility when that situation occurred, where it basically exposed her as sort of having something similar to man-child by proxy? I mean, it was just weird what came out. But no, and likewise, the people that are anti-Trump, they don't want to, oh, poor Virginia, but no one's actually talking about that particular case. And, again, this sort of, it's just things that will keep you awake at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like the Diddy situation, like, okay, we know that there was actual physical abuse going on there. We know that he was into some pretty freaky stuff. But really, when you really go for the meat of the bone, there actually isn't a lot on that other than he had a bit of a kinky sex life and was a bit of a violent guy. Harvey Weinstein, yeah, again, like there was stuff that's really, really clearly objectionable. But when we come down to this whole idea of show us the bodies, they really, even when you look at Maxwell Gislin, I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it, but Epstein's partner, and she's, so they're like, oh, how can there not be an Epstein file if, Maxwell's in jail? Well, she's in for jail for trafficking, but when you actually go and read the depositions, she's sort of running around procuring, girls for Epstein, and there is one case where not her, but a Frenchman brings in little girls from France, and that Frenchman later ends up, unalived. But when it comes down to actually, there's no link of hers providing, people to have sex with beyond what's said by victims, but not actually. We don't have any forensics of it. We don't have any of those blackmail tapes that were said to say. And again, it gets interesting situation there, because when I started looking at the situation, these hard drives and these tapes, and went looking for them. And from my reading of the material, there's an FBI agent gave a sworn testimony disposition. What he said was that they went to the mansion, which is next door to Howard Lutnick, who's Donald Trump's Secretary of Commerce and did fundraisers there for the Clinton administration. So again, this assumption, everyone thinks that these people are on the Democrat side or the Republican side, but I'm going, no, I think you're just dealing with a powerful elites that they'll go whatever, they'll use whatever channels available that will allow them to actually make what they want to happen. And I believe that there is a shared courtyard between those two mansions. Don't know that for sure, and I am going to do some more digging on that one. But they went to the mansion. They went in there with a warrant that allowed them to cut open a safe, and they brought specialised tools to do this job. And they cut open the safe, and at that point, there is multiple reports of bags of diamonds. There's cash. There's passports with lists Epstein has been having Saudi Arabia residence false name and stamps in that passport. And then there's CDs and there's hard drives. And then what happens is incredible. What happens next is that they don't take any of that away because they don't have what apparently they've got a warrant to open the safe, to be there, but they don't have a warrant to remove contents. And I'm not even sure how that would work legally, but fine. I do understand enough about legal positions that just because your warrants are very specific and you've got to actually, you can have this, and if you can't go there, then you've got to get yourself into trouble. But what I don't get is that once you found a safe full of stuff, which is, pretty important, tens of thousands of dollars, you didn't leave a guard on it? And like, how do we know that there was this money then? Like, where's the paperwork that says, who took the photos, recorded it, and what's the explanation for not? He said didn't have a warrant, but why were they not given a warrant? And this is these are the more about the stories about the case, what I think in some ways are more. These give us a line towards something that's a bit more juicier than strange little girls making up stories, which then the papers can spread all around, And then people settle because they don't want the damage to the reputation, they have the money, it's just easy to make it all go away. Not saying this is what happened, but with Virginia Jeffries, or however you pronounce it, like, we have this very weird case where she's like, I'm hit by a bus, I'm going to die. And it turns out that was all kind of a bit weird and nonsense, and it all makes her, what she's saying about her father, not father, her husband. And, you start to think, well, she had a professional public. I mean, there's one guy, I don't know that he's a young rock star. He grows up, he's got a tattoo on his face, and he's talking about how he was basically, they tried to coach him into obtaining information about Michael Jackson, which, again, I don't know. I have really not spent a lot of time on the Michael Jackson case. I just remember this specific interview. And, and effectively what they're saying to him and his mum is like, oh, you do this, you'll get all these, damages and publicity and celebrity causes. And the mum is egging the kid on, because she sees it as a gold digging exercise. And the kid's going, nothing happened. Michael Jackson was just a really, really nice guy. And I said, I don't know, but that to me is a situation of where you can have people that want to be influencers, or they want to be famous connection, and they can make statements which, again, with Johnny Depp, and I have other questions about, the Venom pit again, and his partners that disappeared. Like, I have questions about Johnny Depp, but he's correct when he was saying about the Me Too movement. They tried just to do the same thing with Diddy and Harvey Weinstein, where they went out to demonize him, but at the end of the day, there wasn't actually any real. Yeah, I think in that case he might have had his wife. I'm not saying things didn't occur, but the point was, that wasn't the exercise. The idea was they were to inflate it, snowstorm it, because that kind of image, that had to be demonized. So my take on, again, is the thing about the Epstein situation. Again, as we see lots of people, gloating because they go, oh, isn't it great, the mega people are all melting down and, having a fit, and, now we're hearing reports about sheriff departments being shot, and they go, oh yeah, mega, no, it's going, actually, I don't think you guys are missing the point. The point is, it doesn't really matter whether you've got left-wing dissenters or right-wing dissenters going out there and causing trouble. If they've got people who are causing violence that can allow them to justify bringing in the Marines or whatever, then you've got an issue. It doesn't really matter who instigated it. And it's the powers that can be rolled out are quite scary, and it doesn't take much of a flame to flame that up. At the same time, we've got these issues of big corporates taking phenomenal amounts of control of the economies in the capital, and doing these land grabs. And it just strikes me that there's this sort of Hollywood or colourfulnification of our media, where we focus on these stories and we focus on the stuff that's Punch and Judy, look out, but we never actually focus on the hardcore question, going back to the question of, how in hell's blues hell did you get a warrant to open up a safe, but you then didn't take it away, and then you left it, who? There had to be an individual who's actually tasked with operating that safe saw. Who was that? And why? When did they realise that they didn't have the warrant? And where is that written down? And why? How did they audit? They knew the stuff was there, so that's come out. But who did the audit? These are the minutiae answers that actually give us closer to actually getting a real answer, as opposed to looking at the abstract headlines. Anyway, just sort of share. And I'm not saying that Trump isn't involved. My whole attitude is, all these guys, I think everyone at the global elite is in some level of compromise. And I think in some ways you don't get to the top of the food chain unless part of you actually is compromised. And it's a question of really of who are your protectors and who are your, they're your protectors until such point that you annoy them, and then they withdraw that, and then you're exposed. And if you don't have a patron, then you have the worry about the media going after you. And same again, Robin Hood Foundation, when we do know from the situation of Pegasus spyware and being used and things like Black Cube, where Harvey Weinstein was hiring these companies to go out and dig dirt, or so that material he could use as coercion. But in terms of the actual specifics of this stuff happening, it's all very vague. We know the companies were employed, but we don't know who they were employed to go after, or what they were seeking. And all of this can be really politicalized, and you can make it into a big drama that seems like it's red and blue against each other. But again, just in summary, is that when we look at the situation with Trump and ISIS, let's not forget that a lot of that money was put in the hands, and the whole ball got rolling under Biden administration. All that's actually happened is that Donald Trump's come on top of it, kept the ball rolling, going even further. And I doubt when they all decide to vote Donald Trump out, and that seems to be where, that's where the drumbeat is going to this new third party. That maybe it's the rise of, maybe this is the whole thing. This is a scam to bring in the introduction of a libertarian. I don't know, but what I just do get is that there is just some very doesn't sit well with me, this situation with Virginia, because it's just going, why are the Democrats and the Republicans not talking about the fact that this fairly major important source to the story took a major hit to her credibility?